let's talk about this update. Okay, here we have the blog that Raven and Infinity Ward posted regarding the Season 2 update and some of the huge changes that are coming. So obviously we can start out with crashes and stability. Cool, crashes and stability. We knew they're going to keep fixing crashes and stability issues. That's going to be an ongoing thing because it's a video game and PCs crash and games crash and updates crash, and that's a normal thing. Audio. This is huge. The big thing I read when I was going through this was that audio occlusion is a filter that's applied based on the type of material. Okay. Primarily based on thickness, blah, 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 blah. Essentially, what they found was that while walls and things of that nature, the audio occlusion should apply. They found that all those little things around the map, like paper, newspapers, staplers on desks, and phones on desks, and things like that, had the audio occlusion applying to it as well, which is why everybody felt like they were just kind of in a vacuum and they couldn't hear anything around them, because everything around them was blocking the audio outside of those little bubbles. So with this change, hopefully the audio is significantly better, and it should be a little better to hear footsteps and all that stuff moving around. So that's really cool. UI fixes, new little quality of life things to the UI. They've already addressed that the UI was going to be kind of a work in progress based off of the feedback given from the launch, that the UI was just not what people wanted, or not really user-friendly to navigate and all that stuff. So the fact that they are continually working on the UI and making it more user-friendly and up to what people were expecting and expecting out of the game, that's all cool. Weapon balancing, we know weapon balancing is going to happen. They didn't post anything specifically, but I'm sure that when the patch releases, there will be weapon balancing, just because that's what happens, right? Weapon balancing happens with patches, so they didn't want to post it here, but I'm sure it's coming when the patch arrives in a couple weeks. Gulag's going back to 1v1. Thank you. About time. Winning 2v1 in the Gulag is great, but I could definitely see it being annoying. I mean, obviously winning 2v1 in the Gulag is always good. Getting 2 kills coming out of it, it feels great. It feels like you've accomplished something, right? Helps your KD, everything like that. But in general, 1v1 Gulag is just the way to go. Mono-y-mono, one person, and they're going back to the original Warzone overtime mechanic of the domination style flag. So that's really nice, because the jailer in a 1v1 would just be absolutely stupid and pointless, because it locks onto one person and then that person's going to be screwed. So they had to scrap that idea. So thank you again, because 1v1 Gulag is definitely better. Cash economy. Basically, they scrapped the $100 minimum that was previously what you were able to find around the map. So you're not going to find basically nothing. You're only going to be able to find like 500 and like 800. So that's going to be really good, being able to just kind of regain a little bit quicker, get your loadout a little bit quicker, get back in the fight quicker, get your teammate back, get your squad back. Great, awesome, thank you, because $100 minimum was absolutely nothing. Looting and inventory, like, this stuff is huge. Like, there's a whole lot to go through with this, but backpacks are gone. If you open a chest or something like that, or a bag, the loot's going to spill out on the ground, just like old times. You down an opponent, take them out. They're not going to have a bag anymore. All their stuff is just going to spill out, and you don't have a backpack. They got rid of backpacks. They scrapped backpacks entirely. They were excited for the new backpack system. However, medium and large backpacks will no longer be available, and eliminated players will drop loot on the ground rather than a loot-filled backpack. Backpacks sucked. Now, I didn't think that they were going to scrap the backpacks entirely. I thought what they were going to do was just kind of have, if somebody died, their loot would spill out and not have a backpack anymore, and like stuff would spill out of chests and bags, but that you would still have a personal inventory. And I thought that would have been okay, that you would have had to manage your personal inventory. I do like the fact that everyone's going to have the same size inventory. That's cool. I think that's a nice little change. So in that regard, like, you are still managing your own inventory, But I think finding that balance of how much stuff you can store versus the backpack size is going to be interesting, because scrapping the medium and large backpack, you're not going to have to deal with like 4 self-reses and like 5 kill streaks, so that's really cool. I just don't know if the backpack size being the small backpack is actually enough, because you still want to carry some extra ammo, you still want to carry some extra plates, you still might want to self-res in the bag, so it's kind of a balance, and like obviously you still have score streaks, kill streaks, whatever you want to call them. So I think there is something to that might need to be explored, but it is a nice change just to be able to loot quick, grab stuff off the ground, and kind of keep going, get back in the game, and not have to dig through a backpack and get shot in the back anymore. So that's cool too. Loadout changes. Loadouts are going to be cheaper from the buy station. Awesome. Loadouts are going to happen twice now per game. I think they said a second loadout drop. Yep. Added. So now you'll have one in the first and fifth circle. Now, does that mean that they're still going to fly in a straight line and you're going to have to like go out of your way to get them? Or are they going to kind of drop scattered again? I think they really should go to that like scattered like patterning, or some kind of pattern, and they should just kind of drop out of the sky, and that plane but plane flying in really doesn't do anything good, because it kind of forces everybody to funnel to the middle of the circle instead of kind of rotating and playing the game how they want on the map. So I think that they have to find that balance. So if this happens and we just have 2 loadout drops on some straight line plane, I don't know how cool that's going to be, but decreasing the price of your primary weapons at buy stations, decreasing the price of the loadout markers, having loadout markers be able to be found in chests and around the map is also huge. So I think that overall, everyone's going to really be able to get their guns and really kind of play Warzone the way we thought we'd be playing Warzone. So in that way, I think it's good. But again, I still think the free loadouts might have to be adjusted if we're still just using that plane mechanic, that supply plane mechanic. I'm just not a fan of that overall. But with that, we get usable perks, because the perk system is now going to be customizable again, even though they said it's going to be a limited pool, so maybe not every perk will be available. I'm thinking Bird's Eye probably won't be available, and so at least you'll be able to use some perks, but you'll be able to tailor your loadout to the perks that you want. So you could end up with double time and fast hands, but maybe with high alert, and you could have something else like whatever the battle hardened thing is, and like you could kind of tweak it to something that you actually want to use instead of just the default stuff. So again, huge changes that are warranted and have been asked for by a lot of people. 3-plate vests. There's no more 3-plate vests to be found. Everybody can have a 3-plate vest. Movement really hasn't been touched. Like, they said some tweaks overall. However, really the only tweak they're really mentioning is that you'll be able to burst through doors while plating, and you'll have a slight increase in movement to get around corners, basically. Which is cool. Again, the movement increase while plating is definitely needed. I wish they improved movement a little bit more. Mostly with ADS and kind of ADS while jumping and ADS while in the air. I know like slide canceling and stuff like that, like obviously people don't want that. I'm not advocating for any of that. I just wish that movement in general was just a little bit more fluid. But I think that being able to move a little faster while plating will go a long way to at least trying to see how the movement is in a non-movement meta, which is nice. I talked about the buy stations. They basically readjusted buy stations again, because let's be real, buy stations were kind of clustered in some areas and then like just completely like gone from others. So they needed to retool where the buy stations spawn. So that's nice. Loadout drop markers have unlimited stock at all stations. So if you go to a buy station and you have the cash, you can get a loadout. So that's definitely something that's nice. So you'll always at least have a chance to regain with your squad. So that's cool. And obviously they'll monitor balance and blah, blah, blah. Strongholds, they had to retool the strongholds. I'm really hoping that they made really good adjustments to the AI combatant damage, because I'm not going to lie, I sometimes feel like they are just some CDL pros beaming you from across the map. And other times they are like Timmy and they can't hit the broadside of a barn like a stormtrooper. So I'm really hoping they kind of tweak that to just kind of make them there and just kind of a nuisance and not necessarily a hazard. I think that's the part that they're missing, right? Like the AI shouldn't be a hazard on the map, but just a nuisance in order to kind of complete the stronghold. I think strongholds would be cooler if you had multiple squads converging on it without AI and you had a fight to actually basically win the stronghold. I think the way it is right now, most people just don't want to deal with the bots. So I think if they got rid of the bots to a point where they were just kind of annoying, but they weren't actually like a threat, I think more people would show up to the strongholds, and then you would have that like team versus team dynamic to actually claim the stronghold. And I think that's kind of the big thing. DMZ changes. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a DMZ guy at all, but they tuned some things, some spawn points, mission difficulty tuning, crashes, blah blah blah. Multiplayer, they were fixing audio there, balancing some perks, specifically Ghost. I mean, that's cool. I'm assuming some of these balances might show up in Warzone because it's the same game, right? Like, they're the same perks and same guns and everything like that. Weapon balancing, nice. They're added hardcore. At least it's no longer tier 1. It's hardcore again, so thank you, because hardcore is very different than tier 1. It took them this long to realize it. Playlists, rank play. Rank play is going to be coming. If rank play is coming to multiplayer, I'm just waiting to see how that looks going into Warzone. If they ever actually implement something in Warzone, that would be nice. But that's really gonna be it. I mean, that's the biggest things, obviously, like the biggest takeaways, right? It was always the looting, the gulag, audio, the bag system, and loadouts, right? Like, those were always the big things. And then kind of the changes to the plates is just kind of a nice addition. The additional speed while moving is a nice addition. The prices at buy stations is just something that they'll be tweaking and tooling throughout the game cycle anyway. So it's just nice to see that they're continuing monitoring that and working on that. That's going to do it for the Season 2 update. Let me know down in the comments just what you are excited for. If they missed something that maybe you would like to see them change, right? Do you want to see more changes to loadouts? Do you want to see more changes to perks, different perks like they kind of had at the end of Warzone 1? Let me know down in the comments. But until next time, I'm out.